Good morning, Bulldogs. Welcome back. Today, among other things, we are going to go back and review the implicit and the explicit meanings of words or situations. And how do we tell the difference? And it is important for us to remember that there is a difference. Because as we work with our passages today and we work with the text, we're going to be doing a few things. And of those things, we're going to be looking at these situations and we're going to see what does it explicitly mean and then what does it implicitly mean. So let's review the difference before we get started. Okay. So before we get too far into it, if you look at the top of this page here, just a brief, we're talking two letters, two simple letters at the beginning of the word can completely change the word. And it changes the meaning, it changes the context it's taken in, and that's why it's really important sometimes to slow down and read. If you have a question asking you what the explicit meaning of a word is, if you're just speed reading through it, you could read implicit and get that question wrong, okay? But just because there's just that little difference doesn't mean it's not a big difference, okay? So let's look at the implicit first. That is something that is implied. If you'll recall, when we went over the notes through the PowerPoint, we realized implied and implicit share the first three letters. Okay, and that is something that's implied. It's not directly stated by the author or a narrator. It is merely suggested, and that could be suggested by language, tone, mood, all of which we talked about last week. It could also be habits. An implicit meaning, okay? Something you just know to be true, even though it hasn't been said, okay? A good example of that, excuse me, a good example of that would be when you come into a classroom and your teacher is standing at the door or even sitting at her desk. What does she want you to do? It is implicitly understood that you will sit down and start reading your book. Implicit meaning, the stare that your mom might give you when you are roughhousing with your sibling in the living room, and your mom just has to give you that look. She doesn't have to say stop, but you know it means stop. That's implicit, okay? So let's come over here and let's look at explicit. Explicit is something that is explained. Word for word from the author, a character might say it, but it is actually said, okay? So when your mom tells you stop running around the house, does she mean go run around in your bedroom? Does she mean go jump around in the kitchen? No, she means stop running around the house. That's exactly what she means. If your math teacher tells you you need to answer questions 1, 2, and 3, does she want you to even look at number 5? No, she's telling you 1, 2, and 3. Explicitly, she is explaining exactly what she wants you to do, okay? So if you will keep those two definitions in the back of your mind, today we are going to be looking at some text. Today you have your Unit 2 assessment, and that has 2 passages in it. And you will need to know the implicit and explicit meaning of those, of some of the words, okay? That is where we're going to be practicing using these different meanings. So with your Unit 2 passage, or your Unit 2 assessments, even my at-home learners, you're going to have these same assessments. Go through it. Take your time. I cannot say this enough. Take your time. Being the first one finished or being finished early so you can go play, that's not as important as doing well on your assessment, okay? So take your time, go through there. It's okay to highlight, underline, take notes out to the side. In fact, I encourage it, okay? And I do know, just from remembering what I put on the test, you have 2 or 3 questions that ask specifically about words. Do not rely on a dictionary, okay? You're welcome to use one. Just don't rely on it, because That's for an explicit meaning, okay? Or sometimes these words can only be used in several different ways, okay? So make sure you're using the context of the passage as well, okay? But I know you guys are going to do great on these. I believe there's 13 questions, I think. So do your best, and I will get those graded and back to you so we can discuss them. Hopefully, I'll have them ready to discuss during Friday's Zoom. No promises, but we'll see what we can do. Yes, if you have any questions or if you run into any difficulties, please send me a quick email, aellis@millsapisd.net. Good luck, guys.